I still replay that drive in my head whenever I'm alone on the highway at night. I was 22 then, driving on State Route 32 late at night from a friend's house. The highway was nearly empty. My radio kept slipping in and out of static, voices dissolving into hiss. So I turned the volume down and drove in silence. Suddenly, I noticed headlights filling my rearview mirror. They came up fast, too fast for that stretch of road. I remember checking my speed, thinking I might be going too slow or that maybe I'd drifted. I eased into the next lane, giving the driver room to pass. That's just what you do, especially at night. But the car didn't pass. It slowed and settled beside me, matching my speed perfectly. I glanced over, irritated more than afraid at first, expecting to see someone on their phone or messing with me. Instead, my eyes locked onto the back seat. A little girl sat there alone. She couldn't have been more than 6 or 7. Her face was pressed flat against the window, skin pale in the harsh glow of the streetlights. Both her hands were splayed against the glass, fingers dragging downward as if she were sliding in slow motion. Tears streaked her cheeks, catching the light. Her mouth was wide open, shaping a scream I couldn't hear. I looked toward the driver, waiting for him to notice me, to notice her. He never turned his head. His face stayed forward, hands steady on the wheel, like nothing was wrong, like that child didn't exist. My heart started pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I flashed my headlights once, then again. Nothing. The girl's eyes met mine, and in them I saw pure panic. Not fear, you fake. Not something playful. Real, desperate terror. Then the car accelerated. It shot ahead, tires whining, and disappeared down the highway. For a split second, I froze, my hands locked on the steering wheel. Every warning I'd ever heard screamed at me to let it go. I reached for my phone, thinking to call 911, but the highway was empty, and the area was miles from the nearest town. If that was a kidnapping, which I was quite sure of, then by the time I explained it to a dispatcher, the car would be long gone. The face of the crying kid kept rotating in my mind. I got to take matters into my own hand. I sped up. I told myself I would just follow at a distance, just long enough to get a plate number. The car exited the highway without signaling, turning onto a narrow dirt road surrounded by woods. My headlights caught a cloud of dust, hanging in the air like fog. I hesitated. The rational part of me begged to turn around, but the other part, the one that couldn't forget that silent scream, kept my foot on the gas. The dirt road swallowed me whole. There were no streetlights or houses around. After driving like this for 10 to 15 minutes, the car ahead began to slow down. Then it stopped. My headlights washed over its rear bumper, illuminating the red dust drifting down. For a moment, nothing happened. I sat there with my engine idling, my pulse roaring in my ears. I told myself I'd stay in the car and call the cops right now, but then I thought about the girl. I stepped out. The night air was cold and smelled like damp earth. My footsteps sounded too loud, crunching on gravel as I took a few cautious steps forward. All of a sudden, the car doors opened. 2 men got out. Something about them was immediately wrong. Not just the fact that there were 2 of them, not 1. It was the way they looked. They had masks on. One had a corn stalker latex mask stretched over his face, the grin frozen and lifeless. The other wore a grotesque Momo mask, eyes bulging unnaturally, a smile twisted into something inhuman. In the glow of my headlights, the masks looked unreal, like something from a nightmare that had slipped into the real world. One of them had a knife. The other swung a heavy machete over his head, and they were sprinting in my direction. My brain finally caught up. This wasn't a kidnapping. It was a trap. I stumbled backward, almost balancing so I don't fall down. That's when I saw the little girl in the back seat. She was watching me with a creepy grin. Her innocent eyes were now scary with evil in them. She waved at me slowly, mockingly, like she were sharing some private joke. That was the moment something inside me broke. The the moment I understood how close I was to dying. I ran. I don't remember turning. I don't remember thinking. I just moved. I yanked my car door open and threw myself inside, hands shaking so badly I could barely get the key into the ignition. The engine roared to life just as something slammed into my window. The machete struck the glass with a deafening crack, spiderwebbing at inches from my face. Shards sprayed across the dashboard. I screamed and slammed the car into reverse. Gravel flew as I tore backward, tires skidding, heart hammering like it was going to burst. I didn't look back. I didn't stop until the dirt road spit me back onto the highway. Even then, I kept driving, miles blurring together, my hands locked on the wheel until they ached. I didn't feel safe until I was home, door locked, lights on, sitting on my bed with my head in my hands. When I finally called the cops, I told them everything. They took my statement seriously. At least it felt that way. But days turned into weeks. No arrests, no follow-ups, no news. Sometimes I wonder how many of them stopped to help and probably didn't get a chance to get out alive. And every time I pass that stretch of highway near midnight, I turn my radio off and keep my eyes straight ahead, hoping I never see that devil kid or her accomplices again.